4 approaches to discourse analysis considered to be of particular significance for current research in linguistics, namely, conversation analysis, discourse analysis, critical discourse analysis, and feminist post-structuralist discourse analysis. This is a small selection of a rich and diverse range of analytic approaches in the field that also includes speech act theory, interactional sociolinguistics, ethnography of communication, pragmatics, variation analysis, and discursive psychology. Of the 4 approaches to discourse analysis, conversation analysis takes the most decisive departure from Chomsky's view that linguistic performance is of little relevance to the linguist. Indeed, proponents of conversation analysis would posit the reverse, that talk and interaction provides extraordinarily rich evidence of the underlying rules of how language works. So, what are the key features of the conversation analysis approach? We shall consider the following. Orderliness in talk and interaction. A data-centered approach, conversation analysis has a primary interest in transcript data and what these data reveal. In order to enhance the quality of microanalysis, Jefferson evolved a detailed transcription system to help analysts provide a characterization of how meaning is produced through verbal, vocal, prosodic, and paralinguistic means. A neutral and objective stance, analysts are discouraged from bringing any theoretical or philosophical presuppositions to the data, in order to allow these to speak for themselves. So, what is the contribution of conversation analysis to the field of linguistics? Primarily, the approach continues to demonstrate that fundamental rules govern the patterning of talk and interaction. Just as we can theorize the rules that underlie grammatical and syntactical choices, so we can make reasoned predictions based on our knowledge of turn-taking rules and the ways these are occasionally broken or violated, of the ways in which participants typically construct conversations within given social contexts. Shegloff has posited that conversation analysis satisfies the need for a systematic form of discourse analysis that offers linguists an Archimedean point which is internal to the object of analysis itself. In other words, conversation analysis's data-centered approach possesses its own internal rule system, which allows linguistic data to be analyzed neutrally in a single, reliable interpretation to be reached. Discourse analysis has a strong focus on studying language in its own right, although it is often appropriated as an analytic tool by researchers from other disciplines. Like conversation analysis, this approach and its diverse strands recognizes that there is an orderliness, logic, and meaningfulness to linguistic performance. The hallmark of discourse analysis, however, is its recognition of the variability and in the context dependence of participants' discourse. By far the most common sources of data for discourse analysis tend to be the accounts drawn from recordings of informal spoken interviews between researchers and respondents, making it a popular qualitative method of data analysis for linguists and social scientists. However, it has also been used to analyze a variety of data such as formal academic journal writing, newspaper reports, and media interviews, in accounts of journalists and politicians during a political controversy. So what are the key features of discourse analysis? For are of interest to us here, principle of variability. Language is used for a variety of functions and its use has variable consequences. The same phenomenon, such as a scientific experiment, can be described in a number of different ways according to audience, purpose, and context, and thus there will be considerable variation in accounts. Constructed and constructive nature of language, according to Gilbert and Mulcahy. Discourse can never be taken as simply descriptive of the social action, too. Interpretative repertoire, research accounts often provide evidence of regular, descriptive features or devices. The term repertoire here denotes recurrently used systems of terms used for characterizing and evaluating actions, events, and other phenomena. a combination of micro and macro analytical approaches. Micro and macro analytical approaches work together to produce an interpretation within discourse analysis. Critical discourse analysis. Critical discourse analysis that is useful to linguistic scholars because, like conversation analysis and discourse analysis, it analyzes real, and often extended, samples of spoken and written discourse. However, unlike conversation analysis in particular, critical discourse analysis adopts a macro-analytical view of the world in that it takes the notion of discourse in its widest sense as social and ideological practice. Thus, critical discourse analysis research specifically considers how language works within institutional and political discourses, for example in education, organizations, media, government, as well as specific discourses around gender and class, in order to uncover overt or more often, covert inequalities in social relationships. Language as social practice. Language use in speech and writing is seen as a social practice. A committed, emancipatory agenda has used the term critical to mean discourse analysis with attitude, working from the opposite pole to conversation analysis. Critical discourse analysis starts from prevailing social problems and thereby chooses the perspective of those who suffer most, and critically analyzes those in power, those who is responsible, and those who have the means and the opportunity to solve such problems. Text and context. Examine textual features such as sentence structure, verb tense, syntax, lexical choice, self-reflexivity. Given critical discourse analysis is commitment to emancipatory agenda interdiscursivity/intertextuality. Interdiscursivity involves the ways in which one discourse is always inscribed and inflected with traces of other discourses. Deconstruction. Critical discourse analysis is concerned to unravel exactly how binary power relations. What is critical discourse analysis's contribution to the field of linguistics? On the plus side, critical discourse analysis has been of immense value to researchers looking at institutional discourse, where differentials in power relations are often systemic. On the negative side, linguists have criticized critical discourse analysis in terms of the vagueness of its methodology and analytical approaches, as well as in terms of its biased interpretations of discourse under the guise of critical analysis. Like critical discourse analysis, feminist post-structuralist discourse analysis has its roots in discourse analysis approaches, but more exclusively draws from post-structuralist theory. Rather than taking a critical perspective on the data based on Marxist social theory, it has embraced a feminist post-structuralist perspective. Feminist post-structuralist discourse analysis can be defined as an approach to analyzing intertextualized discourses in spoken interaction and other types of text. It draws upon the post-structuralist principles of complexity, plurality, ambiguity, connection, recognition, diversity, textual playfulness, functionality, and transformation. Feminist post-structuralist discourse analysis does share with critical discourse analysis a number of defining features in keeping with its social constructionist origins. The idea of language as social practice, the relation between language and power, the importance of the self-reflexive researcher, the principle of intertextuality, and the role of deconstruction in conducting discourse analysis. Not an emancipatory agenda, but a transformative quest. The diversity and multiplicity of speakers' identities. Complexity rather than polarization of subjects of study. An interplay between micro and macro analysis. What is the contribution of feminist post-structuralist discourse analysis to the field of linguistics? While it is the newest and least established of the four approaches, feminist post-structuralist discourse analysis is arguably a necessary antidote to the other three, in that it offers a supplementary approach, simultaneously complementing and undermining other methods. Within linguistics, there is much value to be gained from the multi-perspectival approach that combines different methodological tools in a pragmatic way as befits the task at hand. The textual interplay between competing terms, methods and sets of ideas allows for more multiple, open-ended readings of a piece of analysis. Thank you for watching.